close to 18 million mobiles we buy every month. Consider everybody changes their mobile from a 12 months to an 18 months period. So that's the market of replenishment there. Make in India over a period of time will happen very well. I'll say Apple coming to India and starting their manufacturing is a landmark moment. But today just the hardware won't work. You have to have the hardware, the software, the whole community, right? So you should build the whole ecosystem. Most difficult to set up ERP is in an IT company.
Welcome to Trade of Thought, powered by TEXUB. I am Akanksha Anil, your host for the day. Born in a family of doctors, his career was off the beaten path. He founded his company in 1992 with his wife, and together combining the expertise of software and hardware, Creative Newtech was born. Yes, you have guessed it right. It is Mr. Ketan Patel, Chairman and Managing Director of Creative Newtech.
In our industry, there is a term called TOT, that is terms of trade, and this is trade of thought.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking your time out and being on our show. So, how do you think today the IT trade and mobility industry is doing in India?
We buy the highest number of mobiles every month, close to 18 million mobiles we buy every month. Consider everybody changes their mobile from a 12 months to an 18 months period. So that's the market of replenishment there. Plus, we are the youngest population in the world. 75% of our population is less than 35 years of age. And this population is tech savvy. They want to always be connected to the internet. And that's why mobile is the biggest product by which you can connect to the internet. So that's kind of the potential we have in India.
And how do you think has the government helped in the trade and with their initiatives helped the IT trade industry?
So today whenever you meet somebody who knows India, it knows what's happening in India, they think that India is the land of opportunities and they have to be there. So that's the first part that did. And then the government just did not talk, it backed it up with Make in India, it backed it up with a PLI scheme. PLI is a production linked incentive scheme. So the government said that if you produce goods in India, then we will kind of incentivize you. So that also worked very well. Then the government did a conducive atmosphere whereby companies such as Apple, Foxconn, Winstron, a lot of people started coming to India to buy.
So with the Make in India, like you mentioned, how do you think has that affected the export of the goods made in India?
Kind of if you see geographically also, India is much suited to cater to the African markets, the Middle East market. If you see the Gartner's recent report also, right, it says that world over the demand is flat except Southeast Asia, emerging Asia and Africa. And India is kind of geographically well suited for both the economies, right? India has also the manpower, the labor, the land and the infrastructure to cater to Africa and other places. So Make in India over a period of time will happen very well. I'll say Apple coming to India and starting their manufacturing is a landmark moment. With Apple and with their scale, we would have all the allied industries, all the ancillary industries around manufacturing coming to India, and that will take us there. Plus post-COVID, everybody wants China plus one. And that China plus one, I think India is the strongest contender in the China plus one category.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the case.
And with over 30 years now, Creative Newtech has been in the industry, and you have actually experienced the India movement towards the new India. So what do you think, how have you managed to adapt to the changing times and the growth and all of the new technology that kept coming in?
Every change is a new opportunity, right? And India moved from, say, the traditional where you used to get material in grey to the complete legitimate billing economy. Then India also experienced the modern retail or the power retail, then the e-commerce, and then today is the internet economy, right? D2C is a bigger medium. Today you have so many D2C brands selling just on Instagram, right? And every change is an opportunity. And I would say that as an entrepreneur, if you are not changing your business strategy every 3 to 4 years, either you will be stagnant or you will miss out on your opportunities. And we were lucky that we kept changing the course of our. And today, for example, you have something called as AOP, that is annual operating plan. We have an annual operating plan, but we tweak the plan every quarter.
So, if you had to talk about India's positioning as a global player in the IT and trade industry, and while Make in India and the initiatives that the government has announced does help and sort of tries to get more and more people to adopt, how do you think that it is going to be in the next 5 years?
India will also have to adopt. For example, if you see the biggest export, besides from yoga, I consider yoga was exported from India. The biggest export has been ITES services, right? So you had knowledge products as outsourcing, you had the back office, you had the call centers, right? And India was the largest English-speaking population, and you could play the arbitrage of labor between a foreign company and here. Now everything is moved to a chat, right? No longer you require somebody who can speak in English. You have tools which can really, you speak in English and it translates and gives the answer in Spanish, and the other person speaking in Spanish, you will again get the answer in English. That's what technology is playing part. So India would have to be ready for that. Second is, while the hardware, the manufacturing economy is growing, but today just the hardware won't work. You have to have the hardware, the software, the whole community, right? So you should build the whole ecosystem with ChatGPT, with AI, and with the number of engineers we churn out every year, and with the right government incentive. If we play our act well, then I think we will be the third largest economy in the coming decade, that's for sure.
So, how can traders move and be a part of the export community?
Yes, good question, Akanksha, because as you understand, TEXUB is more about playing geographies, right? I would say for any trader who wants to come to India, they should adopt the crawl, walk, run strategy, right? They should do a deep stack, do smaller consignments, initially partner with a local company, though they may have to share a certain percentage of their profit with that company. Look whether the government taxations, they are getting a refund properly. Once they have a certain amount of scale, do part on their own, part with the partner, and then probably when they are confident, they could then have their own offices and then get that business running well.
With the trade industry that's there, what advice would you give to somebody who is trying to go from maybe India to abroad to try to export and to find the right markets for them?
First and foremost, I will say that not all markets are equal. All markets operate very differently, right? So if you are having a customer, say from Latin America, he behaves very differently from a customer in Africa. An African customer can wait for a month to get his delivery, while somebody in America or Hong Kong cannot wait even 48 hours to get that delivery, right? So the first piece of advice is that they should not consider all the markets same. That's the first part. Second, if they have not been exporting for a long period of time, logistics to figure out takes a little amount of time. So they should build in that amount of time or that much slack in their commitment before going ahead, right? Third is, unlike India, not everybody likes bargaining, right? So kind of either they say yes or no to a deal, right? So you'll have to learn the nuances of every culture to go there, and like in every trade, right, relationship is of paramount importance.
So, what do you think in this, with all the steps that you mentioned that people should look out for, do you think an aggregate marketplace helps in that sense for somebody who's trying to export outside?
The aggregate marketplace definitely helps because, first of all, between two people, if they are interacting for the first time, there is no trust. So the aggregator can really get that trust built in. That's the first part. Second part, the smaller nuances of the business which you don't know, the aggregator can help that, right? And I'm sure TEXUB currently does the buying selling on its own, but tomorrow TEXUB will have at least 10 to 15 logistics partners, 10 to 15 financing partners, and that will really and you could have deals online, you could have stock. Today, freight forwarding is a big issue, stocking is a big issue, and that also as a part of TEXUB's allied services could come into picture. And I'm saying that what is a distributor, right? He is a kind of an aggregator for a brand only,
Yes.
right? And he acts that. TEXUB is a aggregator with no geographies, kind of. That's the case. And I think TEXUB and another 5 to 7 aggregators like TEXUB are needed to promote the geographical trade.
So, if you had to talk about the future of IT trade in India, and how do you think in the next 10 years it's going to play out?
India has a current 3 Ds working for it, right? Our demographic is right. We have the Gen Z millennial population, which is the consuming class, right? These millennials really want to experience life. They want to try newer things. They are not the saving economy. This is the first time India would have a DINK population. DINK is double income, no kids group.
Yes.
That's the second population which we are going to have, right? India for the first time is going to have a population which will retire richer and who wants to spend. Then the digitization has really helped. If you see our digital stack, our financial stack, it's very different from the world. Today almost 50-60% of the digital transactions are happening on this. And it's not just about that, our Aadhaar, our DigiLocker, the finance stack the government has built, that's really playing a bigger part. The deglobalization, when I say deglobalization means everybody wants China plus one manufacturer. Everybody wants an alternate geography to get their goods manufactured. So that will also help. So I'm saying we have the perfect stars aligned for India, and I think the next 10 years, and with this government in position, we would have a thriving period in India.
See where we are going, and excited to see what next Creative Newtech will also bring in. So we did speak about the opportunities that are existing in the IT industry now. But what do you think are some of the hurdles that are still there?
I think the biggest hurdle is the mindset, right? IT guys don't use IT for themselves. And there is again a problem of knowing too much, right? So there is something, I use a word is analysis paralysis. So you find a hotelier using IT so well, but you don't find, so if the most difficult to set up ERP is in an IT company, because the owner knows too much, so he asks too much questions and they will analyze it too much, and then that's how the implementation does not happen.
So with that, we conclude today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Trade of Thought, powered by TEXUB. I am your host, Akanksha Anil, and I hope you subscribe to our channel so that you get to see our next episode, which will again have some very special, insightful guests. Until then, goodbye.